Thank you for joining me in this discussion. I want to start with an introduction. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and tell us a little bit about AgTools?
My background is on what everybody now knows supply chain, but it was called logistics at one point, procuring product for conglomerates and companies around the world. So I would travel the world to look for the right place for many different reasons to start a production line, crop, um, assembly line, and then deliver that project and move on to the next one. So I was kind of a troubleshooter. I'm the result of parents that were entrepreneurs. So I have always had that spirit. Even when I worked for companies, I always was an entrepreneur inside companies too. Like, what else can we do? Go the extra mile. And I love logistics and supply chain because it's an ongoing challenge.
So AgTools is it's at the forefront of data science to agriculture. It offers real-time intelligence to the entire supply chain. What inspired you to focus on solving the unique challenges faced by the perishable industry?
So my journey really started with the electronics and telecommunications industry. I used to assemble lines for circuit boards, for phone systems, from coming from all type of origins into a place, assembling them and then shipping them out. And my first lesson was that, and my first PhD was on the ground that everything comes from nature. Every component that we have in the phone or the boards of electronics come from a mineral, and that mineral comes from nature. So I moved from inorganic chemistry, my background, to I like more the food. So I moved into processed food for several years, and then I moved into fresh market because I was getting closer to nature as I was going through my journey throughout my career, and found that perishable move even 1,000 miles faster than components and electronics. And I was fascinated by the fact that the same variables, which now I can tell you there's 76 variables that impact at any time that supply chain of a tomato that you put on your table, or the cotton that you wear your clothes, or the wood that you have your table. Everything, all those variables were discovered during COVID-19, but we have known them in the perishable world all along. So fascinating that we had that continuous volatility, but nobody was aware of it.
That's really fascinating that there's 76 variables. I never knew that.
I kind of knew them. I didn't know there were 76 variables until when I used to be called to do a project, I will go to the capital of the country and will look into, okay, where is it planted? Where is it sourced? Which ports are they close by? Are the roads manageable? Is the gasoline available? How close is the gasoline? Is the labor? What type of labor we have? So you start holidays. It's a Ramadan day month, so you have certain labor and not other labor. It's a Catholic country, which is a whole different perspective. So you start mixing all these variables, and all of a sudden, like that's the reason we have supply chains challenges, because we have to understand the world who supplies everyone across, not just United States, but everybody to everybody. So we are able to manage those 76 variables. Some countries will have out of the 76, 56, but definitely 76, 56 in depth, and then 20 less, but 100% 76 variables. And then you add the microclimates. Those of us who have been on farms, you would say you're on this side of the mountain and it's cold, but you move to the other side and it's hot. Well, guess what? That crop changes. And so, yes, those variables are crucial for productions.
Can you elaborate how AgTools utilizes machine learning algorithms to provide actionable insights to those farmers and buyers?
So the way I kind of explain this is to think blueberries. Blueberries are worldwide production. You have blueberries in South Africa, you have blueberries in Morocco, you have blueberries in Chile, and you have blueberries in Detroit. And so when a person who's farming or buying from those regions, the variables move differently. Meaning, if I'm a blueberry producer in Argentina or buying from Argentina, I'm more worried about the euro because the euro is where I ship the most, the European market. But if I'm a Peruvian or Mexican producer, I'm more worried about the Asian exchange rates and or USA, any geopolitical issues. But then if I'm a Detroit or Portland, Oregon blueberry farmer, I'm more worried about the weather locally, but also the sub-regions producing locally to the local markets, right? So it is interesting that those machine learnings and those AIs are not like a straight line for how's the blueberry in the whole world. Well, no, Morocco ships to Spain, but Peru also to Spain. So how do you that algorithm and that thinking AI is based on the geo position of that human being who's thinking about it. The ideal is that Mr. or Mrs. World Bank opens a how's the blueberry world doing, but they can start going down to, oh, there's less production of blueberries in this country, but there's more on that. So the growth is happening here. So you see, it's very complex, but not that complex if you think of it. Looks complex because very few people were thinking about it. But now as we start talking about it, people are like, oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Well, I'm glad you selected my favorite fruit because I love blueberries. So my understanding is you have over 500 specialty crops covered. Is that correct? How does
Right.
how does AgTools prioritize or decide which crops to focus on or add to the next platform?
The reason we start with specialty crops is because when the world thinks ag, they think wheat, rice, corn, and they have been forever in our tables, in our stable. I mean, corn, tortillas, corn in Africa. It's been always there. The fruits and vegetables have really started to emerge as the healthy food that we should be eating lately. And that push is helping the world be healthier, number one. And because now we know food is medicine, which we should have known that long time ago. But at least we had food. We had corn tortilla, and at least we were fed. Okay. Now we should have corn with lettuce and tomatoes and cilantro, right? So the goal was that nobody had done specialty crops because nobody understood, and it's too broken down. You have 400 or 500 producers of corn in the world, literally. I mean, you have smaller farmers, but that's the core. While on tomatoes, you have just 500 in one state in Mexico, 500 producers of tomato. And then small tomato, medium tomato, tomato this, tomato that. So nobody had understood that industry. I have been involved in that industry for a long time. And it requires a little bit of a thinking, a brain of understanding how it mixes. So I'll give you one example. And we're doing this experiment right now. I'm a farmer of potatoes in Florida. Whom am I competing with? Oh, Virginia potato producers. In what terminals? So I find as a farmer the windows of opportunity through my algorithm, through my using my tool or using the tool, and I can see that the windows of opportunity to sell potatoes in Baltimore, in that market, so I don't compete with Virginia, is this time of the year. And that's how you should focus on planting all the way to delivering to the markets.
That is so cool. So, and I understand on top of those specialty crops, you also get data from over 113 countries. How do you ensure the reliability of the time and the timeliness of that data from so many countries and so many crops?
And that's a very good question, because when I started this journey in my life, the United States used to, first of all, we produce our own avocados. Maybe once in a while we had avocados from Mexico, and everything started shifting. And now we have avocados from Dominican Republic, from Colombia, from Peru, from Mexico, locally. 113 countries now trade out around the world. specialty crops. Fruits, vegetables, nuts, herbs, and plants, which the plant-based hamburger, the plant-based everything now. Those are the 5 family of commodities that are under specialty crop. Yes, you have the flowers too, which are the roses, the carnations, but also the edible flowers that we now know that we can eat, right? That there's nothing wrong with it. And so those commodities come from 113, move around the world in 113 countries, whether you produce from Nigeria pineapples into Saudi Arabia, whether you produce pineapples from Philippines into China and to Japan, or you produce pineapples in Costa Rica to United States and to Europe. You see what I mean? That whole refrigeration, logistics, ports have moved the world to do that. And 20 years ago, you didn't have that. Now you have that, which is great. But we have to be careful on sustainability, which is one of your questions, because we have to understand what regions should produce what in order not to deplete the resources, natural resources in those regions. And that's what the tool also does, gives a little bit of insights of, is there enough water in this country for a very thirsty crop, or should it be a better, more rain into a country that maybe that crop should be planted versus another region?
I am learning so much. So sustainability, like you mentioned, it's a crucial concern for agriculture today. So how does AgTools contribute to sustainable practices within the food supply chain?
The first thing I always answer on sustainability is that farmers care or should care about sustainability. The reality, the farmer cares about one thing and only one thing. How do I pay back the loan that I put my signature on? And if I have to do certain things to save money, to use less resources, and at one point do whatever I need to do to deliver because I get paid, that's a priority. On the buyer side of it, which is the 2 extremes of the supply chain, I really care about the world, but I care more that you deliver me the product, because if I don't have that product on the shelf, I lose customers. I lose market share. So sustainability is discussed at the C-level, but not on the bottom of the supply chain. It is known, but not prioritized, because the reality is that these 2 bases of the pyramid of the supply chain only are worrying on the financial side of it and the market share. The C-level is saying, how do we make sure the earth stays there? So until we start attaching more financial numbers to sustainability, still a dream. Because there's a huge vacuum between those 2 worlds. My KPIs financially, and I am going to save the world, corporate Wall Street world.
Would that be then another variable that you would add?
So what we did in our tool is precisely, our tool talks to both markets. Oh, you're a sustainable agent person in the company. Here's all the reasons, the water, the resources, the this, the that. You're a buyer or a farmer. Here's your numbers. Every time you throw away a container, you reject a container, you just throw away $40,000 every time that you get rejected. Or because you don't understand the markets, that you should be doing potatoes from Florida from May 15th through May 30th. And if you go before or after, Virginia comes in the market and they lower your product, your cost, then you don't harvest. You just throw away all that potato. So your cost of the fertilizers, the water, the labor. So now we're telling you, farmer, or we're telling you, buyer, the money that you just lost, which is the only thing that they think, money. That's what they have to think, money. So we have attached sustainability with those 2 worlds, the world of taking care of the earth, and am I going to make money or am I losing money? And that's what AgTools does, precisely, which I think many have lost in their world, that thinking process, because they haven't been buyers. Those who have created the sustainability tools, have they been buyers? Have they been put to the fire? Am I delivering the KPIs, or vice versa? On the side of the NGOs, have you ever been an actual farmer that has to pay the loan 2, 3, 4, 5 years on the road? Because as you know, in the farming industry, in the farming world, you don't make money 1 year. You make money, you lose money, you make money. You have 7 to 10 year averages. That's how you, if you're a good farmer, you have 7 to 10 years average profit and losses versus 1 year good or 2 years good. It's 7 to 10 years.
Wow, so fascinating. Can you share a success story where AgTools significantly impacted a client's decision-making process? I read about your avocados and data avalanche story. So I'm interested in that, but it doesn't have to be that. I'm just curious of like how you've significantly impacted decision-making.
We really started the journey to save farmers. And very few people have understood that this whole financial agro 76 variables decision making really save farmers. But farmers are the ones that need to understand data, and how do we make it the simplest way for them to kind of fight Goliath, because it's the markets, right? Okay. So a success story we have is from Honduras, believe it or not, where farmers had eggplant and they were making and losing money year round producing eggplant to ship to different countries to begin with, which that's a problem to begin with. If I depend only on the export market, that's a problem. Okay. But so we started 4 years ago or something along those lines. We started deploying the data. We trained the trainers who trained the farmers, who trained the bankers about data and how to utilize data. They went from 16% market share of themselves to 64% market share in the United States of the window of opportunity, not of the whole year, but only 4 months they ship eggplant, and that's it, because it's when you make the most money. So you have a whole logistic of sending only for 4 months, and the rest of the months you produce to sell locally eggplant. Because why you're shipping eggplant to make me healthy in the developed country, and you're not eating eggplant in your country where you should be healthier too? Because eggplant is not a product that we eat in Honduras. I didn't grow up with eggplant in my country. But why are you producing something to make healthy people that have more access to more things and not yourself? So I'm known for having pushed those commodities to be sold in the local markets too. So the rest of the year, they sell the eggplant in the local market at almost at just to pay the bill of those months, to sustain the labor, sustain the land, and go back again on the months that you export to make the money. That's a very success story, because that's the base of the pyramid farmers that produce for many of us in the world. The base of the pyramid is the one who produces to the distributors, to the exporters, to the big shippers.
Mm-hmm. Right. Wow. Very cool.
Yeah.
Can you talk, the role of advanced analytics is becoming increasingly crucial in every industry. Can you talk about how it's being used in the food supply chain?
It can be used in different areas, whether it's the shipping line or the tracking company who rearranges inventory of containers or trucks to move. I mean, I used to see trucks arriving into the McAllen border and realizing on Friday that, oh, Monday's a holiday in Mexico. Let me keep the truck here idling, because they cannot turn off the refrigeration. So they have to idle Saturday, Sunday, Monday to load on Tuesday. When they have seen this data and analytics, they say, let's send the container on Sunday or Monday to pick up for Tuesday. Two things happen. One, less carbon footprint in the world. But two, that truck sat down to make only 300 to 500 per day just idling, when that truck could have done another trip for $3,000, $5,000, $10,000. So the balance sheet starts moving also around. Okay, that's number one. And then the second part of this whole idea is that as you move into this whole that type of customer, you can also into a customer that decides how you're going to manage now the contracts, because you see the peaks and valleys of production. And when I deploy those contracts, are more in tune with nature and good product and good quality versus just product for the sake of product.
You are so cool. So you caught my attention because you're a tech, you're a woman in tech, deeply entrenched in data. And then I started talking to you and I found out, como yo, you're Hispanic. And I wanted to ask you about the challenges you faced. So we're going to sidetrack a little bit and talk a little bit about you. Maybe can you talk a little bit about challenges you faced as a Hispanic woman in the tech industry and how you've overcome them?
Have not overcome them yet. Okay. I think it's an ongoing, I call it the alcoholic anonymous syndrome. You will always be an alcoholic no matter what. We will always be. We'll always be seen as a minority and a woman. And therefore, every time I walk into a meeting, it's not that I'm aware because I used to, because remember, I come from the ag industry, which is already a guy's world, a very wide cry world. The buyers from the whole world of food are white guys. Okay, not it's moving, thank God. I'm always saying, but we women buy all in the supermarkets. Why don't we have more women buying for the supermarkets, right? But that was one. And so I came from that world. I was trained playing tennis when I was growing up with guys because at that point the league in my country didn't have men and women. It was tennis. So I grew up with guys who were mean. I mean, the guys when they're playing, they're going to win. They are not going to be nice and whatever. No, I remember being hit a couple of times in the tennis court, very bad. But it was I grew up with the guys, so it was never a thought about girls and guys or women and men. And when I came to this country, I woke up to that. I didn't realize that. I never realized that. And I'm like, whoa, okay, so there's a difference here, but moved on. In the technology, I'm not too worried. I think we're more worried about being a women and minorities, more on the financial institutions, because you can be a good wealth management manager, but you cannot create innovation things. Uh, and most of the things that we women as startups have started are women related, and this is a financial product. So it's a whole different thinking process. And on the investment world, which that was another wake up 2.5 years ago, I used to be given millions of dollars to deploy in different countries around the world without a problem to do mango programs, asparagus programs, I don't know, so many programs. Here's 10 million, here's 20 million, here's whatever, go do it. And then I'm launching this company and the venture fund is like, oh no, there is no such thing for you. Because we are not precisely, we're less than 0.01% as a woman, as a minority, and as an immigrant. And that's when I woke up to like, whoa, we have to rearrange this whole business. We will not have the funding that my wonderful white guys in the world will get and are getting in concepts. And so that was that. So it's going to be an ongoing. I had to come to realization the last year and a half that I have to just accept what it is and just accept it. It's not going. No, we're not overcoming because the data is showing that actually we are being funded less now, women. So if we're funding less, that means that the technology world is accepting us less because otherwise we would have had opportunities. So it's going to be an ongoing thing. But I used to play tennis, and you don't lose until the last ball.
That's right. That's absolutely right. It's not over till it's over.
Exactly.
And I agree. And so we as women have to stick together and help each
Well,
other
like
as much
here's
as
another
possible.
interesting data that's important for the world of food and ag. 95% of the farms are family owned in the world, period. When you see the commercials of the guy driving the tractor, is the guy driving the tractor. But the person manages the financing and the economics of a farm is the wife, the mother, the sister, the daughter. I spoke yesterday with the daughter of a farmer in England, in Cambridge, that her grandfather immigrated from Sicily to there. She's the one telling him what to do, and she's like 27, 30, and the gentleman is like 60, whatever. But she's managing all the financials, the legal, so we women are always been in the back office of the farms. So we're the back office of the farms. We manage the finances. We should be the buying and the financing. So it's going to be an interesting shift. The new generation we should focus. The new generation of farmers are on women, not even on guys, but on women.
That's so cool. So we have very few minutes left. I think we only have like 3 minutes left. So I was wondering, do you have any advice for young women and young Hispanic women aspiring to enter
Yeah,
tech and agriculture too?
agriculture.
Yeah.
Definitely, please do join the ag industry because we need food. We will need always food. If not, see the war that we're having in Gaza, and it's a food war. Has been not now. Has been a food control war for several decades. It didn't start yesterday. So food is crucial to the human world, and we need you involved in the food supply chain in many shapes, whether scientists, whether it's developing the new crop, whether it's shipping the largest crop, whatever that is. It's important for we women to be there because we have this multitasking brain that is part of the ag industry. It's not a one-liner, and we women have that multitasking thing. And on the Hispanic side, there's a couple books that come out. Creativity is heavily in the minorities. That's where we like the music and the rhythms and the arts and all that. This is the industry of creativity, literally. And farming the tomatoes of this shape that can be sold to this restaurant. In Puerto Rico, we did that. The specific lettuce that is not 20,000 boxes, but 10 boxes, but well sold. Local food industry will become important from here on. And so those combinations would be great.
Absolutely fantastic. Martha, thank you so much. This was so fun and so awesome.
Thank you, Deb. Thank you, Diana. Un abrazo.
Igualmente. Cuídate and let's keep in touch.
Thank you so much. Definitely. Okay, bye, Diane.
Bye-bye.